Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that will stay with you long after the video ends, because it reminds us that courage can come in the smallest packages, and sometimes the quietest signals are the loudest cries for help. It was a busy Saturday afternoon at a large neighborhood supermarket, the kind of place where carts rattled, kids begged for candy, and the hum of fluorescent lights blended with background music no one really listened to. People moved quickly through the aisles, focused on shopping lists and weekend plans. In the middle of all that ordinary noise, a little girl, no older than 8, walked slowly beside a man who didn't seem to notice her at all. Her name was Lily, and she clutched the handle of a red shopping basket with both hands. She kept her head down, her long hair falling forward as if she were trying to disappear. To anyone passing by, she probably looked like a shy child tagging along with a distracted adult. But Lily's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might give her away. She had been taught something very important at school only a few weeks earlier. Her teacher had spent an entire afternoon talking about safety, about what to do if you ever felt scared, lost, or in danger. Most of the kids had laughed and whispered, but Lily had listened carefully. The teacher showed them a simple hand signal, something you could do without making a sound, something that might save your life if you couldn't speak. Now, walking down aisle 7, surrounded by shelves of cereal and bright cartoon mascots smiling back at her, Lily realized she needed that lesson more than ever. The man walking beside her wasn't her father. He wasn't her uncle. He wasn't anyone she trusted. Just an hour earlier, Lily had been standing near the entrance of the store, waiting for her mom who had stepped back to the car to grab a forgotten wallet. Lily had stayed inside like she was told, standing near the flowers and watching people go by. That's when the man approached her. At first, his voice had sounded friendly. He told her he needed help finding a certain kind of chocolate, said his niece loved it and he couldn't remember the name. Lily had hesitated, but when he smiled and said it would only take a second, she followed him a few steps into the store. That second turned into minutes. Minutes turned into aisles. And before Lily could react, the man's hand closed around her wrist. Not hard enough to leave a mark, but tight enough to make it clear she wasn't free to leave. "Don't make a scene," he whispered. "Your mom's probably busy anyway." Lily's throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to cry, to run, but fear froze her in place. She remembered her teacher's words, calm and serious. If you can't yell, if you can't run, signal. Someone might be watching. A few aisles away, Officer Daniel Reyes was off duty but still very much on alert. He had stopped by the supermarket on his way home to grab a few things for dinner. Years on the police force had trained his eyes to notice things other people ignored. As he pushed his cart slowly, he scanned faces, body language, small details that didn't quite fit. He noticed Lily almost immediately, not because she was loud or disruptive, but because she was the opposite. Children usually begged for snacks, tugged at sleeves, complained about being bored. Lily did none of that. She walked stiffly, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal's. Officer Reyes slowed his cart, pretending to examine a shelf of pasta. The man with Lily seemed tense too, glancing over his shoulder more often than necessary. Something about the dynamic between them made the officer's instincts flare. Then it happened. Lily shifted the basket to one hand and raised the other slightly. Her movements were small, careful, almost hesitant. She opened her palm toward Officer Reyes, folded her thumb across her hand, and then slowly closed her fingers into a fist. Officer Reyes felt his stomach drop. He knew that signal. During a recent department training, they had been taught about a silent distress signal being shared in schools and online. A simple gesture designed to help victims ask for help without alerting their abuser. An open palm, thumb tucked in, fingers closed over it. A signal that said, "I'm not safe." For a split second, Officer Reyes wondered if he was imagining things. But Lily did it again, this time meeting his eyes just long enough to confirm it wasn't an accident. Her face was pale, her lips pressed together to keep from trembling. That was all the confirmation he needed. He didn't rush in. He didn't shout. He did exactly what his training and experience told him to do. He followed, pushing his cart casually. He stayed a few steps behind them, pretending to browse as they moved from aisle to aisle. He watched the man's grip on Lily's wrist, the way Lily leaned slightly away, the way her free hand shook as she pretended to look at boxers on the shelves. Officer Reyes subtly pulled out his phone and sent a quick text to a colleague who was on duty nearby, giving the store location and a brief description. Backup was on the way, but he knew every second mattered. The man suddenly stopped near the frozen foods, his eyes narrowing as if he sensed something was wrong. Lily's heart raced. She thought she might faint. The man leaned down and whispered something harsh into her ear. Lily flinched, and Officer Reyes took that as his cue. He stepped forward, his voice calm and friendly. "Hey there," he said, smiling at Lily. "Isn't that the ice cream with the rainbow sprinkles? My kid loves that one." The man straightened up quickly. "She's with me," he said sharply, pulling Lily closer. Officer Reyes nodded, still relaxed. "Of course. Just thought I recognized her. She looks a lot like my neighbor's daughter." Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't say a word. She remembered another part of the lesson. If someone helps you, Trust them. The man shifted uncomfortably. We're in a hurry, he muttered. Officer Reyes met his gaze, his smile fading just enough to let authority show through. Mind if I ask where you're headed? She looks a bit scared. The man's jaw tightened. She's fine. At that moment, Lily raised her hand again, just slightly, and repeated the signal. Officer Reyes nodded almost imperceptibly, a silent promise that he had her. Before the situation could escalate, 2 uniformed officers appeared at the end of the aisle, moving with purpose. The man's eyes widened. He tried to step back, but Officer Reyes was already between him and Lily. Sir, Officer Reyes said firmly, I'm going to need you to let go of the child. The man hesitated, then shoved Lily aside and bolted. The officers chased after him, their footsteps echoing through the store. Shoppers gasped and froze, carts abandoned in the aisles. Lily stumbled backward, and Officer Reyes caught her before she fell. She burst into tears, clutching his jacket with all her strength. For the first time since it started, the fear spilled out of her in sobs she couldn't control. It's okay, Officer Reyes said softly, kneeling to her level. You're safe now. You did exactly the right thing. Minutes later, Lily's mother came running down the aisle, her face white with terror. She had returned to the store entrance to find her daughter gone and alarms raised by staff. When she saw Lily in the officer's arms, she collapsed to her knees, crying and laughing at the same time as she hugged her daughter tightly. I only turned away for a second, she kept saying. Just 1 second. Officer Reyes reassured her gently, explaining what Lily had done, how brave she had been, how her quick thinking likely saved her life. The mother looked down at Lily with a mix of pride and heartbreak. The man was caught a few blocks away, trying to flee on foot. As details emerged, it became clear that Lily's instincts and training had prevented something far worse. Authorities later confirmed the man had a history of similar attempts. In the days that followed, Lily became a quiet hero in her community. Her school talked about her bravery, not to put her in the spotlight, but to remind other children that they too had power, even when they felt small. Officer Reyes visited her class, demonstrating the signal again and praising Lily for remembering what she learned. Lily didn't feel like a hero. She still had nightmares sometimes, still held her mom's hand a little tighter in public. But she also knew something else now. She knew that even when her voice felt trapped in her throat, she could still be heard. Officer Reyes often thought about that day. He had responded to countless calls, seen all kinds of danger, but that small hand signal in a cereal aisle stayed with him. It reminded him why awareness mattered, why training mattered, and why paying attention could change everything. The supermarket eventually returned to normal. Shelves were restocked, shoppers went back to their routines, and the hum of everyday life resumed. But for those who knew the story, that place would always hold a reminder that miracles don't always look dramatic. Sometimes they look like a little girl, a folded thumb, and one person who is paying attention. So the next time you're out in public, surrounded by noise and distractions, remember Lily, remember that help doesn't always come in the form of screams or alarms. Sometimes it comes as a quiet signal, waiting for the right eyes to see it. And if you ever feel small or powerless, remember this too. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about finding a way to ask for help, even when you're scared. Lily did, and because of that, she went home safe. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to stories that remind us to look out for one another. Until next time, stay aware, stay kind, and never underestimate the power of paying attention.